Edition of Len's Burning Bush. I am Len Harvey. Before I bring on my guest for the week, I want to talk about what's really burning my bush. So I hope everyone survived the Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp outage of 2021. Did you see the memes that were out there? I kind of had to partake in that. There were actually, so this is kind of funny, there were actually people in line at the T-Mobile store telling the clerk that their apps weren't loading on their phone. And it was just interesting how that would be the case. It's like, oh, it's only you. Yeah, it's the Facebook and Instagram apps, not the phone not working. But it's like when the internet goes out in your neighborhood, and you ever be part of those annoying neighborhood pages, and someone on the page says, hey, is anybody else having issues with the internet? No, it's just you. It's just you. You know, I really feel, this is what I do. I really feel for the people whose birthday it was on October the 4th. So I want to wish everyone who was on October the 4th a very happy birthday, because they had to wait all day into the night for the barrage of messages wishing them the proverbial HBD. And it probably got even shortened because people just didn't have time. I mean, Facebook was out for as much as 6 hours on Monday, an extensive outage. It disrupted users and businesses around the world. It left Facebook looking for a solution. You know, they apologized for the outage, which affected its core platform and apps, including WhatsApp, Instagram, Facebook Messenger, and an outside firm said it appeared to be the most widespread in its history. Facebook said the problem was due to networking issues, whatever that may be, right? This was amazing. This is actually what was amazing about it. The disruption hobbled communication, both essential and the mundane. So the cat videos were gone, but it cut off small businesses from customers and slowed e-commerce across the country. Some companies saw their operation revenue curtailed, while others sent out marketing pitches based on the services of going dark, right? Got to take advantage, right? Underscoring the extent of which Facebook, despite many controversies, it challenges it faces all the time. It is the center of daily life around the globe. And we saw that because just before noon, everything kind of went dark. What was interesting, Facebook's internal communication was also affected. Some voice calls, work apps, calendar appointments. What was funny is they had to use Zoom to remain connected throughout the day. At least Zoom was still up and running. And isn't that kind of a competitor? But in a blog Monday night, Facebook blamed the outage on a configuration error. I hope whoever did that, it's kind of interesting if you saw some of the memes that were out there. It could be one of many people, Newman included, on Seinfeld. I saw that. That was kind of funny. But there was a lot of those different people who said it. But they say user data was not compromised, according to the company. Sure, it wasn't. And if anyone would actually tell us that it did, I don't think so, right? I don't think somebody would actually tell us. Some people use the time to actually get real work done. And some even writing letters and playing board games. Nah, I'm just playing. There was a panic like the scene from the 1977 movie Airplane where they mentioned, we're out of coffee. Oh, no. With that being said, it's time to bring on my guest for the week. He is the host of the Songwriter Connection podcast, a singer-songwriter and former radio host. Let's welcome for the second time. He last appeared back on January the 2nd. Let's welcome Dave Lenahan. And Dave, how are you?
I am doing great.
Did you survive the outage?
I did, and I enjoyed your rant there. And I kind of have one of my own that goes along. To hear you say, I didn't hear what caused the outage, and now they're saying it was a network thing?
Yeah, it's a network or configuration issue with the network. Yeah.
That's interesting. Nothing about this whistleblower on 60 Minutes.
It was a coincidence, Dave. Come on, you can't put the two together. It was just a coincidence, right? It was like he was cleaning the gun when it suddenly went off, right? Is that
right.
is that the George Carlin thing? The man walking around the world drowned today, or whatever. You know, it's kind of, but I don't understand. It's
it's very suspect, isn't it? I mean, come on.
Everything Facebook does is suspect, but look how it affects people. It's amazing how we are just, the phones are just, it is amazing. Like how we are just tied to this so bad. It is, you know,
I think, Len, that it has really helped to divide us today.
Yes.
You know, right down the middle, our politics and everything. It knows how you lean. You're seeing the stuff. If you're red, man, you're seeing the red stuff. If you're blue, you're seeing the blue stuff. And anything that causes controversy, that's going to get people to click more, that's what they're going to feed you more of. And it's a snowball thing, and it just keeps going. You know what it makes me wonder, Len? You know, I studied radio a lot growing up in broadcasting, and I know you came from that area too. But in the early days of radio, when it came on, it was a mess. It was all about who had the biggest stick and the most power. There wasn't any regulation. You know, it was really, they decided they really needed to regulate things. And the radio commission came out, became the FCC eventually. This is like in the early 30s. And they said, we've got to do some regulation here. And I think we're at the time where we've got to look at our social media and network, really all of the internet, and start to look at how we can regulate it a little bit. You know, whether it be the fairness doctrine. Remember the fairness doctrine
Yes.
when we were in broadcasting?
Yes.
You know, you know, and maybe that is impossible on the internet, but I think something has to give, don't you?
I agree. And I think that we need to, first of all, people need to go to therapy because, like the Eagles said, we are prisoners of our own devices.
Yes, we are.
we are literally prisoners to these devices.
Wait a minute, I didn't hear. I was checking my phone.
I know. Everybody's at dinner. They're checking their phone. I think we need to go back to the 1970s and just kind of have, like, I was teasing about the board games and people actually writing letters, but maybe we need to do something. I'm sure people were shaking. There was probably people shaking. Why is my Facebook not working?
I'm sure.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. It's a serious issue.
Or my Instagram.
Oh, I know. I actually like Instagram better than Facebook, but
I've been liking it a lot too. Yeah.
I like it too, but of course it's owned by Facebook, so really it's just the same thing. Like WhatsApp, and it's all owned by the same company. Mark Zuckerberg's got a little bit of cash. You know, it's funny how the money is just, you know. So I have a story to tell you regarding money. Mm-hmm. So, you know, you go to like a store like Louis Vuitton, right? Because I was in Las Vegas at the Bellagio Hotel. Now, Louis Vuitton is one of those stores where, you know how when you have FU money, like really, like a Mark Cuban, that's FU money, right? Mark Zuckerberg is FU money. If you make $500,000 or maybe even $1 million, that is not enough for Louis Vuitton. Okay, and I'll tell you why. So I walked in to Louis Vuitton at the Bellagio Hotel. Why? Because you can, and it was, you know, and I was telling you a story about just starting to ride motorcycles, right?
Right.
So I walk in there and I saw a motorcycle jacket, and I was like, wow, this would be cool, getting a motorcycle jacket from Louis Vuitton. So I asked the woman, you know, I liked it. It was nice. She goes, would you like to try it on? I said, sure, why not? So I tried it on. There's actual pictures of me in the Louis Vuitton store at the Bellagio Hotel with this motorcycle jacket on. Now, Dave, you're at, you know, we're working class people for the most part. How much do you think a motorcycle jacket from Louis Vuitton would cost?
Leather.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, of course. You would hope it's leather. But yes. How much do you think it would cost?
$500-600. Right?
All right. Well, that was what I would think it would have been. Maybe $1,500 would have been at most, right?
Yeah.
It was $10,000. Now, what was funny after that? $10,000. $10,000. But what was
you get a mortgage on it?
Yeah. Well, you get like what I told the woman was, that's great, but I only paid $11,000 for the bike. I'm like, I'm gonna pay $10,000 for the. So that what I mean by FU money. So
I get it.
I told her, actually, to be honest with you, I liked it that much. I said I would have given her $3. Right?
Yeah.
But of course, you couldn't take 70% off at Louis Vuitton. I didn't have a coupon, right? So you can't go in with a coupon. But it was just.
You should have done the old Pawn Star thing. I'll give you $2.
That's what I tried. They wouldn't take it. I actually looked online, and it's down to 9,300. I think I'm going to use Tootie or something to get it. But what's interesting, what I mean by that, if you're making $1 million, or let's say $500,000 a year, right?
Yeah.
$10,000 is still 20%. That's a lot of money for a jacket.
I make that kind of jacket. I'm not paying $10,000 for a jacket.
No, exactly.
I'm telling you.
But if she would have said $1,500, I might have thought about it. Like that. Yeah. $1,500 would have been at least, you could have said, hey, that'll be the only jacket I ever buy. I'd have to sleep in it. And what was interesting is we went in that same trip because I took my son. It was his 21st birthday. So he came with us to Las Vegas along with a friend who we celebrated his 50th. So it was a really big to do. So we walk into the Rolex store. Now, shipping has caused problems even for Rolex, right? They don't even have any material anymore. They don't have any content. So you walk in there, there's one Rolex in there. And I look at it and I said, so how much is this? I'm figuring $7,000 maybe, right? 10 grand tops. $77,000. I asked her, and I quote, does it come with two bedrooms and a bath? I mean, that's what I mean by FU money. Who has that much disposable income that they 77? It's a watch.
For a Rolex.
Yes, a watch. We looked at other watch. They've got other companies within that Rolex store at the Bellagio, and they've got where you can walk in, and they've got other things. And they showed a watch that was like $5,000. That was actually very nice. But again, $5,000 even would be a lot. I spent $150 once, and I thought that was too much on a watch. Then I got an Apple Watch, and I thought, $350 is better, I guess, on an Apple Watch.
I think they do that, for the winners. Occasionally there's a winner, a big winner. And I remember last time I was in Vegas, it was for the radio seminar, the radio convention. What was that? I don't remember what they call it. Years ago. So there was a beautiful, party shirt. And I want to say it was like $90 at the time, $100, which is, that's for a party shirt, it was good looking. But for me, and this is probably 20 years ago, that was a little bit, more than I wanted to spend. But that night, the blackjack table hit it pretty big.
Yeah.
Bought that the next day.
Oh, of course.
I got their money back.
Well, and I, like I said, I was hoping I would win a little bit and I'd buy the jacket, but I'm not buying a $10,000 jacket. Like $1,500, I would have probably moved the needle, figured out a way to pay for that. But $10,000 for a jacket.
Much as you paid for the bike.
Much as I paid for. I mean, I'm not sleeping in the damn thing. It's not going to get me. I don't.
Here's an idea. There's got to be a knockoff made in China somewhere.
Oh, of
gotta
course.
be. Gotta be.
I wouldn't be surprised if it was a knockoff in the Vuitton store. I mean, come on.
It could have been.
I just enjoy it.
How do you know?
So it's funny when you go to those stores that when you find like Michael Kors, who you and I would think is kind of upscale, that's like a downgrade compared to Louis, all these other stores, like the Tiffany and all this other nonsense. But it's fun to go in those shops. I act like a rich person, and do it. It's kind of fun when she actually thought I was going to buy this jacket, or at least she thought I could, which was kind of nice. I think she was just being nice. She knew there was no way I was buying it, but she's like, "Would you like to try it on?" I'm like, "Sure, why not?" So I got pictures, so it's just as good, right? I didn't buy the jacket, but I do have the pictures.
Pictures of you.
Yeah, and that's. It's kind of.
You got to send it to me. I've got to see it now.
Oh, of course. I might even post it on Instagram now that we're back up and running with Instagram because, Lord knows if we don't have those, post-its that we can't do. It's kind of crazy.
Put it on Instagram. We'll see it.
Yeah, we'll put it on Instagram. So I wanted to talk to you because you have been successful with your new podcast, and it's not new anymore. You're coming up on season 2. And I am so happy for you because the last time when you came on January 2nd, you were talking about possibly starting one, and I love that you I don't know why you would listen to me, but you did, and now you're successful at it. I will say mazel tov to you for doing this. And why don't you tell the few people that we have listening to tell them about your podcast?
Well, I always wanted to do this. I always did. But I had no clue how to do it, and then it's so funny because. You think about things sometimes and then weird things happen, right? So I've been thinking about doing this podcast. I'm bored during COVID. You contact me out of the blue and say, "Hey, would you do my podcast?" I'm like, "You got a podcast?"
Yeah.
I'm like, "Sure."
If this idiot can do it, anybody can.
You got to tell me how you do it. And you did, so I owe it a lot to you. And then, you just do the research and trying to find the right host and the right equipment. And so I decided to invest a little money. I got a little thing called the Rode Podcaster Pro, which I speak highly enough. This thing is amazing. I even do some voiceover work, and I do a couple of radio shows still right from this piece of equipment that I purchased. And I paid a gal to do from Fiverr to do the open and close, and my whole idea was to mix passions, my passion for songwriting, with my passion for interviewing folks. So, and I live in Nashville. Imagine that. Everybody around here is songwriters. Everywhere you go, you can throw a stone and hit a songwriter in this town. So I just started inviting people into my dining room to play music live. We had to do some on Zoom because of COVID restrictions and things. But it just started to build and go from there. Now we're into season 2. We've had our 10,000th download now. And I use a host called Red Circle that I found, which is absolutely free. But the caveat is this: when you reach so many downloads, they're going to start putting commercials into your podcast.
Right.
So now they're doing that. There's 2 in the front, 2 in the back, 1 in the middle. But the nice thing about that is they pay you a percentage of the ads that they sell. So now we're making a little bit of money, and
couple of shekels, and you might be able to get that jacket.
Yeah, and we're nowhere near that jacket, friend. Let me tell you, nowhere near that. And like I said, even if I had the FU money, I would.
Yeah, you like that FU money because there's money. There's even Trump.
Yeah.
Trump who has money, but
yeah.
But Mark Cuban says FU. I've got FU money. Bill Gates has FU money.
FU money.
Right? Jeff Bezos, has FU money. And speaking of which, I don't know if you saw this.
All those guys that go out to space.
Yeah. Speaking of going out to space, the final frontier. We've got
Shatner.
We're going to have William Shatner. He's going to be in space. Oh my God.
Hey, 90 years old.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Hey, if I'm 90, still kicking around, I want to go to space too. What the hell?
Yeah. If your body can take it.
I mean, it's just interesting. Look at me. I'm going into space. William Shatner. 90 years old. But
beam me up, Scotty.
Yeah, I mean, and everybody gets upset because Bezos is spending money on, this rocket and whatever. But it would be like, I mean, he's not really. I'm trying to figure out a good analogy here for the amount of money he's spending on that. It is like a drop in the bucket. It's like if you and I went out to the pub and spent $200 at the bar. That would be the equivalent of what Bezos is spending on
the space shot.
Yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, I mean, he's got so much money. I mean, again, FU money. That's what you just have to call it. That's what it is. Yeah. When you have that kind of money, you can pretty much do whatever you want.
Heck you want. Yep. Exactly right.
It's kind of interesting. It's a great thing. But Bezos got going into space. He's going to have his second, civilian crew, and William Shatner's going to do it. I'm so sorry that Spock isn't around to see it because it would be kind of cool. Maybe we kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah. It would be nice.
Both do it together. Yeah.
I think that what I think he should do, Bezos, he should ask. They should. This is what I'm thinking. It should be a new Back to the Future movie, or at least a clip, and it should be Bezos, Christopher Lloyd, Michael J. Fox, and they should be like, Marty, we're going up in space. It's Back to the Future in 2097. I think
you do him well, man. That's great.
That is what I was thinking when I heard this. I was like, well, Bezos should bring them up into space next because that'd be a great new Back to the Future 4. We're up in space. He created a time machine for I don't know if 1.21 gigawatts would have been enough for that. Oh my goodness.
Oh, hilarious.
Speaking of FU money, getting back to that, have you ever watched on HBO? It's called Succession. Have you ever seen season 3?
Got HBO Max.
Well, you should be able to watch it. It's on HBO Max. Yeah. It's season 3. I would go back and kind of binge for 1 and 2. It's an easy watch, although I will tell you this. A friend of mine told me about this show, and Succession is very good. But it takes a while to get into it. You have to commit. The first couple of episodes, you're like, this sucks. But when you finally realize that they have to introduce all these characters, and it takes a while, right? When they finally do, you're like, man, this is good. And then by the time season 1 ends, you're like, man, this is pretty good. Season 2, very good. So season 3 begins on October 17th on HBO.
17th, wow.
So it's the guy that does the this is terrible that I refer to him as this, but he's the McDonald's guy that goes, ba-da-bum-bum-bum. That's his voice.
he is a big time actor. What is his name? I can't think of it right now.
Brian Cox.
Brian
Cox. Yeah.
Brian Cox.
Yeah, but he's low, you know, and it's kind of it's a really it's a good show. I mean, it's I really enjoy it. I would recommend it highly, but you have to give it, like, some people won't last the first episode because you got to know that it gets better. Please don't give up.
That's how I was with everybody used to tell me Yellowstone. You got to get into that. And the first episode, it just dragged for me. I couldn't figure out this character. Why? Who? That? There were so many things thrown at me, and I couldn't follow it. And I just said, I'm done. And I love Costner.
Yeah.
But
Absolutely.
I never really got into it. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I haven't watched Yellowstone, but you have to watch Succession. Good show.
Succession.
Did you get a chance yet to see the new Soprano movie? It just had come out on HBO. So you got HBO Max, you can watch it. I actually went to the theater, saw it. There's always people that are going to complain no matter what David Chase gives us. I actually thought it was good, but people said, well, it wasn't what I expected. You know what you expected? You know what it's going to happen? Exactly what I told everybody when I did my mob episode with Brian Pitts. We did a mob episode, and I told Brian, I said, this is what's going to happen. I said, he's going to leave us wanting more, and then they're going to come up with something, because they can't just have a movie to explain everything. So you're gonna see a prequel series. I know we will. I'm not guaranteeing it, but I'm guaranteeing.
You're probably right. Yeah. Like, did you see Nobody with Cranston? Brian Cranston? Was it not Brian Cranston? The guy who plays Better Call Saul. What's his name?
Yeah, it's going. He plays Jimmy. Fast. Oh my goodness.
The lawyer.
Yeah, he just unfortunately had a heart attack, but he's okay now. He's back on. He's back on Better Call Saul, and
but his movie Nobody. If you've not seen that, did you see it?
No, I did not. That's
extremely good. But when it ends, you go, yeah, there's going to be more of these. There has to be more of these. It's going to be a franchise. There's no doubt.
Well, agreed, and I think that's with the Better Call Saul stuff. And it's terrible that we can't think of his name, because it's gonna hinder me. And I know his name because I could see him. It's coming to me. Kirk. Oh my goodness, this is terrible. I feel like it's a great radio, right? We're sitting here.
Hey man, I'm gonna use my phone.
Yeah, why don't you use it? Why don't you Google it?
Better Call Saul.
Yeah. Something Kirk. Odenkirk. Odenkirk is his last name.
Odenkirk.
Odenkirk.
Right. Bob Odenkirk.
Bob,
that's
right. I am so sorry, Bob. I'd love to have you on the show, but I couldn't even remember your name. How terrible.
We love you, Bob.
We love you.
You are a fan. In fact, I love Better Call Saul better than Breaking Bad. I really do.
Yeah, it's brilliant. He was always great in Breaking Bad also. So
yeah.
Okay. So Bob Odenkirk, hope you're better, and certainly, we'll watch the movie too. Who else is in that movie? There's another famous person in that movie too, right? With Odenkirk.
Nobody.
I thought there was one other. All right. Well, I didn't see it, but I'm going to go see it. You watch Succession. I'll watch.
Yeah, I'll watch Succession. There's your, and I will watch it. I like that Brian Cox. So I'm sure that's.
You'll enjoy Succession. So that's another good show. Kind of
Dexter coming back. Did you see that?
It is. Wow.
Dexter coming back to. He didn't die. He's coming back to kill more people.
I think that TV, they don't have a clue on what they're doing anymore. So they're going for everything. I actually just saw that Blair Underwood is set to reprise his role as Jonathan Rollins in the sequel to L.A. Law.
Really?
Yes.
Interesting. I loved L.A. Law.
Yeah, well, that was another good show. So look at this. They're going back to the future, right? They're going back to the past, actually, to try to get this.
Yeah. I mean, and there's like a new Wonder Years.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it yet, but they say that's pretty good. I'm trying to think. Don Cheadle is the guy that narrates it, right?
I think so, yeah. I think Don's he's great. He does everything.
He really is.
He's good. One thing that is good news, we are kind of keeping some of the past. Apparently, the Peanuts gang is all going to be back on television again. It's going to be
as it should be.
Thank you. PBS, but you got to find it. If you can channel 13 or whatever in your local market, but it's going to still be on Apple TV, which they're the ones who kind of took it off TV, which I can't blame them. I mean, they got to try to make some money, but it's The Great Pumpkin. Charlie Brown is going to be on, and of course my favorite, the Christmas episode. Christmas time is here.
Is he? Yes, right. Absolutely.
One of my favorites. But
Oh, yeah.
yeah, that's going to be on PBS, so you can look for it in The Great Pumpkin, of course, in October. I'm not looking forward to what happens after October, the colder weather, and I'm not going to be able to get on the motorcycle, Dave. I mean, this is not good. Once it gets cold, Nashville gets cold, but not as cold as Kentucky, where you're.
Yeah, we had one big snowstorm last year. It's like 4 or 5 inches, and it shut us down.
And they shut you down for 3 weeks. Yeah.
Here's another thing that might burn your bush, Len. Can I ask you?
Absolutely.
I went to Cleveland. It was the end
sorry.
of September. I know. I'm wearing my Cleveland Indians hat.
Yes.
Right. And that's another thing that burns my bush. But here's what I'm going to talk about. I go into a mall because I wanted to buy a Cleveland Browns hat because they're kind of good this year. So I walk into Macy's, and this is the end of September, Len, and it's all decked out for Christmas.
I know.
I mean, the balls hanging down, the red balls and the green and the Christmas sales. I'm like, what? Can we even get through Halloween first?
No.
Come on.
It has been that way for a long time. They do not. I mean, they make more money during the Christmas season than they do any time of the year. So they want to push it up as close as they can. And at some point, leave the damn thing up all year round. It's like the song, I leave my Christmas lights on all year. Was that song?
I have 2 friends that have their Christmas tree all year round. And what they do is they decorate it for like Valentine's Day, then St. Patty's Day, and then Memorial Day, and then 4th of July. And they keep decorating this holiday tree.
It's a holiday tree. See, there you go. You got all kinds of different things you can work with it. But it's just like it goes back to that National Everything Day. Nothing is special anymore, and it's like now they're putting Christmas in September, and soon it'll be in July. It's like that old back when I was a kid. They had an electronics store in New York. It was called Crazy Eddie, and you got to look it up on YouTube.
I know about Crazy Eddie.
Yeah, Crazy Eddie. Yeah. And it would be like, his prices are insane. And they'd have a Christmas sale in July. And they'd have him, Crazy Eddie. Crazy Eddie would be in the Christmas suit in July. So, I mean, it's hard to blame Macy's because, they've had a rough go of it, but they've done this before. So this is nothing to do with the pandemic. This is everything to do with, they have moved it up, years ago. It got moved up to the middle of September. But I always hate that there's episode I have, Don't Rush My Summer. I don't want to see pumpkin anything until October the 1st.
Exactly right. That's it. I don't want pumpkin spice until, right. Okay, so let me ask you this. Any radio stations in your area go all Christmas music yet?
I don't think so. I think it starts November 1st.
November 1st.
Yeah, I think they wait till November before they do it.
At least they do that.
Yeah. And that's the thing too. I always think Christmas begins when Santa comes down the parade route on Macy's, and then that's when Christmas begins on Thanksgiving. But apparently people like to put their tree up early. They like to do it. And again, whatever anybody wants to do, that's fine. But don't push me to do it earlier. You do it when you do it. And it's very frustrating because it's like by the time Christmas comes, you're exhausted because it's been 6 months of it by the time you figure it, right? It seems that way anyway. Yeah. And it's just,
we just got out Halloween decorations today. We're late.
Well, exactly. You're going to have to take them down soon. My God. Did you get your pumpkin carved? I mean.
No, not yet.
I'm not, I'm one of the few people in the world that has never liked Halloween. And it's not that I just don't enjoy the costumes. I never wanted to dress up as anybody. Just never.
I never was big on it either.
No,
Lynn.
I don't.
I can identify with that.
So I mean, it's coming up, and all the kids get excited, but I wasn't one. And the other thing that this burns my bush, because since I moved out to Kentucky, and it's changed throughout the world. It's not just or the United States anyway. It is changed where trick or treating is a set time now through the neighborhood. Right? It used to be after school, you just go crazy till about 8, 9 o'clock until it gets dark, right? You just go trick-or-treating. I remember coming home from school, going to like the businesses and you trick-or-treat and you'd bring your costume and you'd go and then go to the neighborhoods and you'd trick-or-treat. I lived in a building at the time and I would go up and down the floors and, whatever. But what's interesting now is everything's just such a schedule. Got to have it between 6 and 8. And then we finally changed. We figured out that we were a bunch of idiots and we had the times change. What happened the week before Halloween. And it was like, then it was dark at 4:30 and the kids were out there in the dark, and they finally realized that maybe we'll just wait to the time change to the week after. I wish they wouldn't do it anymore. It's another episode I've done. I don't like the time change, but Halloween is now a structure, and there are neighborhoods that will say, oh, if it rains, we need to reschedule it for the kiddies. We need to move it. I mean, come on. Give me a break. Put a rain jacket on and get out there and deliver the candy.
Oh, come on.
I know. The kids don't
we were
care.
Kids, it didn't matter, right?
But exactly. It didn't matter what it was. But they want to change everything. They want to have it so that they have the perfect, they're in their bubble. They're in that, that globe, and they could just go around and everything is perfect in the world. And it's not. Come on.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah.
All right. Well, we can rant and rave and we can scream and yell, but it's never going to change. And I don't know. I have a positive story to end on, though.
Good.
Now, do you play golf?
A lot more. I used to a lot more than I do now, as a matter of fact. I don't get to play much.
But you're probably better than I am. I would say that. But
love the game.
I like it, too. I'm okay off the tee, but it's the 8 or 9 shots in between that I have a problem with. But what's interesting is there's a story about this. This happened a week ago, I believe. Most golfers go their whole lives without getting a hole-in-one or an ace, as they like to say. So, this should all make all your weekend golfers and everybody who's played golf before just feel wonderful. Jake Martinez of Tucson, Arizona, has made 2, not 1, but 2 holes-in-one. Now, he did it 7 holes apart.
What?
Yes. 7 holes apart in one round. And Dave, I'm not finished yet. Jake Martinez is 12 years old.
You're kidding me.
No. And he just celebrated his 12th birthday. He was 11 when he did it.
Look out, Tiger Woods.
Absolutely. 2.
Man.
I have a golf story to tell you. I had just started playing. I got my first set. This is before the internet, but I had Prodigy and a couple of things back in the late 90s, and I was able to get on to left-handed golf club something or other because I played baseball left-handed and I wanted to play golf left-handed. So I found a site, found a set of Spaldings for about $150, got a bag and everything, and I went out to play with friends in Pennsylvania. So I'm going ahead, and I was a baseball player, but golf was I never played at all. So I went ahead and I did some driving range stuff before I started, and I said, okay, well, I'll play, right? So I was just fooling around. I hit a couple good shots in the round. I wasn't doing very well. I get to this par 4, and it's a short par 4. It's a dog leg left, 260 yards. So I'm hitting it left-handed off the tee. So you would think I'd hit it left, right towards the hole. No. I hit it right into the fairway bunker, which was the bunker was about 105 yards away from the hole. So I didn't hit it that bad, but I hit it too far to the right. So I'm in the fairway bunker, and I don't know what the hell I'm doing, to be honest with you, right? I've never played before. And I go ahead, and I hit the ball, and all of it, it's sudden, I see it hit the green. That's all I saw. And I didn't know where the ball went. So I wasn't close enough to see, so I had to walk up. I go look, and the ball is in the cup, Dave. For an eagle. Yes.
Unreal.
An eagle. So I tell this story not because I'm good at golf, because I have a story that backs this up. I tell the story for the backup reasons. But I got an eagle on one of my first times.
Hole you ever played?
Well, it was not the first hole. It was the first round that I played.
Wow.
And
that's crazy.
And here's the interesting thing. The next day, I play the same course, and I'm on this par 5, and I put a 20 down on the score sheet, and I think I probably cheated because I hit like 4 in the water. I don't know. I couldn't even keep track of all the penalty shots. But you're supposed to only do double par, but whatever. 10 would have been, or 8 would have been maximum. But I like to keep good books.
I used to play a lot of golf all through high school and stuff. And the 2 closest times to a hole-in-one are 2 funny stories. The first time I was playing on the golf team for my high school, and they started me for the first time, and I had terrible run. I just fell apart, choked. So they got me a lesson with the local pro at Elyria Country Club where I grew up. And so we're playing, and like the third hole is this par 3. It's not too far, about a 9-iron, and my swing is a total mess. I'm a mess, and I hit the shot and I sculled it. You know what I mean by that? It's just low.
Yeah.
I mean, it was about 5 inches off the ground, all the way up to the green. Hits the bunker, pops over the bunker, goes onto the green. It rolls toward the hole, towards the hole, towards the hole. It was a half a ball away from a hole in one.
Oh, my
With
goodness.
the worst shot I ever hit in my life. And the pro goes, well, if that ball would have turned one more time, you'd have had a free round here.
Wow.
Wouldn't have taken it. I really wouldn't have.
No, if you felt bad about it, but, these are the shades of brilliance. It keeps you coming back. I always say golf is a great day out in the, you're out in the, just outside. You're having a good time. You get the cart. The drink lady comes by. It's a nice event ruined by that little white ball. But, what do we...
You live in the Cincinnati area, don't you?
Yes.
So there's a course called Hickory Woods. Do you know that?
I've heard of
Milford?
it. Yeah.
I used to play there every Thursday. And there's a hole, a par 3. It's over a little bit of a dip, and there is electrical wires that go across in this big tower. And the course rule is if you hit the wires of the tower, you play the ball over, whatever happens. So I hit a shot, pulled it, hit that wire, bounced. It almost went in the cup, and I'm begging that it doesn't go in, because if it goes in, that doesn't count as a hole-in-one. I have to take the shot over.
Oh, my goodness.
It was the worst shot I ever hit in my life. It almost went in the cup.
There you go. Look at you. You're going to eventually get that hole-in-one, and you'll be like the kid, although he was 11, Dave. 11. He's now 12. He's now 12
Rub that
now.
in a little bit.
I'll rub it in. 11. Well, Dave, we can go on and talk about all these stories, and I appreciate you coming on for a second time. We'll do it again. Good luck to your podcast, and give out the podcast information again. Plug it again for me.
It's a Songwriter Connection podcast. If you just type it in your Google, it'll come up. If you love songwriting, these are the songs and the stories behind them, and it's just more about the craft, the craft.
Well, I write the songs that make the whole world sing, and me and Barry Manilow. Yeah. Well, you can like Len's Burning Bush on Facebook at Len's Burning Bush, and follow along at Len's Burning Bush on Twitter. YouTube channel, Lenny L 1015, Len Harvey, and listen on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, Podbean, iHeartRadio. Tune in. You can even ask Alexa to play Len's Burning Bush. We're on Stitcher, Amazon Music, as I mentioned, Pandora, and thank you, Dave Lenahan. You are...
Thank you, Len. I love your podcast, brother. Well, thanks for having me on again.
Well, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I like that you'll continue to do this. But thanks to Dave Lenahan. I'm Len Harvey. We're back with another episode of Len's Burning Bush next week. So long.